Well, welcome back to another episode from Tailors With Love. I'm with my good friend, Remmert van Braam, founder of JamesBondLifestyle.com. How are we doing today, Remmert?
Very good, Pete. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, mate. Well, most people, of course, will know you through the Bond Lifestyle website. I wonder how many people might also know about your other websites that I was going to talk to you about today. There's watch-id.com, which I found as an incredible resource for when I want to identify a watch in a movie. You and I have had quite a lot of fun over the last few months where I get a screenshot of a watch that turns up on the film, and then you send me a link straight back to where the watch can be found on your website and all the information. And I've often said we've got to try a game where I take a picture of the watch and you've got to name the movie. So I think that'd be quite a nice twist. But
yeah, that'll be a good one.
There's that website going on, and also sunglassesid.com, where again I've used it even just recently to buy a pair of these are the American Aviators from Oblivion. I'm just showing the camera here for YouTube watching.
Yeah, those are in lots of movies. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
or that style at least. Yeah.
So, Remmert, perhaps maybe talk about Watch ID and Sunglasses ID. We'll start with Watch ID. Did that start at the same time as James Bond Lifestyle, or did that came after?
No, it came after. So basically, I started Bond Lifestyle in 2005, and after a few years, I saw, I was so much into getting into the products in the movie. And of course, the sunglasses were a big part. Watches were a big part. And watches have always been a fascination of mine. Like I always liked watches as a child. And I always had a little collection as a kid next to my bed. I was playing with the digital watches, that was always fun. So I really was into watches. And because I got into this whole sort of identification and into product placement for a few years, I saw that sunglasses and watches were two of the real big items on Bond, interesting items. They're, great ways to express yourself in a subtle way, it's like in the accessories as Bond. But so I also started to look at other movies in the same way, of course. My way of looking at movies changed, So after a few years, in 2009, I set up Sunglasses ID and Watches ID at the same time, basically. Same idea. Similar layout as Bond Lifestyle, as you can see. And the idea was basically the same, but just focusing on those product categories, because I just felt there was a few websites doing it at the time, not many, but it was very, very, very small.
Right.
And so I thought there was a need for it, and I thought it would be a fun thing to do. And so they quickly started to become another sort of resource for their particular sunglasses or watches. But it wasn't the same as Bond, because the main difference I found after a few years, of course, there's not a community around sunglasses, or there is a community about watches, but not per se watches in movies.
Right.
So the difference would be like I'm making pages for maybe a person that comes once or twice, a specific person like you were maybe seeing these sunglasses in this movie. You look up what it is and you come to my website and that's it. Goodbye. You saw that one, you got your answer and that's it. You're not going to hang around like in the Bond world where you would just want to know everything about Bond,
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of website in that sense, but the basic premise is the same.
Okay. And so was it harder to set up back in 2009 because you didn't have the community in terms of social media back then, or at least not the same as it is today? So was it much more of a calorie burner back in the day than it is now?
It's still, I guess, it's much more work because of identifying. I did all the identifying, most of it I did it myself on that one. Bond is definitely a collaboration between so many people that worked on that. With the sunglasses and the watches, I found myself literally staring for hours at a picture, very blurry picture usually from a screenshot, like tiny pixels, but just enough information to search on Google endlessly to find the right one. And the satisfaction, of course, in finding those, watches or sunglasses the satisfaction is pretty great if you find, something on like minimal visuals, because a lot of times the watches in a movie or a series are not full screen, so you just get like a photo from the press release or a trailer, and the watch flashes by in like literally 2 frames, and you take that screenshot and then you just have to figure it out, and that's really a fun part, and it's a lot of work, but I kind of like the reward of finding it then,
So talk to me about press releases. I mean, like I'm talking from a person who might be interested hypothetically to set up an affiliate account like this, not to go in league with you or anything, but if they wanted to go, hey, look, I'd like a press release from the next Bourne film. How do I even go about that? So do you find these things online, or do you find your own communities that way?
No, so the press images that I usually use are not sent to me. I just find them. I did have some access, I think, to some press, movie press areas, but usually I just look online, try to find the biggest version of the picture that I can find,
Right.
and then zoom in. And you'd be surprised how many times the sunglasses or the watches are actually in one of those, in one of the few pictures. Because with every movie, they only put out a few pictures usually,
Yeah.
official ones.
Right.
But you'd be surprised how often the watch or sunglasses are in those. So that's kind of, it's not an official way, but it's just via a lot of Google image search.
Okay. And what I really like about all three of the sites is just how clean they are in terms of you don't find yourself going down any cul-de-sacs, like, and he's just like, oh fuck, how do I get out of this? I didn't want to click on that. And it's also, now take this within the spirit that it's intended, it's not so much image focused. Like there's no, like, lots of blogs you might see out there are kind of really pornographic in terms of like, this is a watch, look how big it is on your desktop computer. It's more about here is a picture of the watch, but here is a lot of information that you might want to know about the watch. And it's kind of more information driven, but clean, precise, and you can just navigate your way around, whether it's by brand, actor. I mean, I was just on your site looking up something that I saw last night on there. I was watching, I can't remember what it was now, some Tom Cruise film, but I was like, there, great, there it is already. It's under the right heading. I didn't have to go down some kind of wormhole to find it. So talk to me about
Vanilla Sky, maybe.
Vanilla Sky. Yeah, that was the one. Talk to me a little bit about maybe some of the templates and some of the ideas you have around the design of these websites.
Also, thanks anyway for the compliment. Because basically, the information, I think, is a big part of the goal of the website was to provide this detailed information, but also accurate information about the watch or the sunglasses. Which a lot of times, especially now, because there's a lot more websites about what's in the series or seen in this movie, but they're, for example, driven by user content, user generated content, which is not checked perfectly. So a lot of times you will see the sunglasses identified, but it's not the correct ones, and there's just like a little link towards a store you can buy, but there's no tag. Nobody wrote anything.
Yeah,
somebody just made this looks similar, but I can see immediately it's not the one. So I try to put everything on my website with a description of what you see in the sunglasses or the details, and the screenshot match up. Like this is why I think this is this idea. So I think the correctness of the actual ID is very important on the websites, and I think that's a major part. That's why I want to describe it. And give a little background sometimes on the actor or on the series, just a little bit, to make it a little bit more interesting. But I think the information is very important now. The designs are basically the design. I started the Bond lifestyle design layout. I just thought of when I created the website in 2005, and basically it's the same layout in all the websites where and the text and images are next to each other. You got a clear menu on the left, which always stays there, except on mobile now it disappears a little bit. But the layout is just something I thought, because I'm a designer myself, so I designed it, and I still think it works, even though it's not the current way of designing websites, which you say it's much more with bigger pictures and big text and everything really big. I still think it works for a while, although the websites can improve a little bit on mobile friendliness, but I think it's still easy enough to browse around and find the information.
So, I mean, I see some online magazines that I think that works well for when it's kind of image driven, and I think, I actually wouldn't mind clicking on, the image persuades me to click on and have a look at the article. But I think when I come to your website, I'm not looking for the kind of emotion behind it, or now again, take this within the spirit intended. I'm not looking at how Remmert got involved emotionally as a 9-year-old and the journey between here and now of how he's now, I'd be interested to hear that story, but just maybe not the reason why I'm coming to the site. So that's what I really think has enabled a lot of people to come to the site and get it so well known. I mean, so do you build these websites up from scratch? There's no, it's not WordPress, it's not templates. What are the building blocks for these?
Also, first I literally made them indeed by hand, all of them, Bond lifestyle and sunglasses and watches ID, just hand coding, which was kind of crazy, but it was my only way to, of course, make it for free and easy. And at that time, I mean, you could do WordPress and stuff, but I had my specific design idea, so I made them by hand. But then around 2010 or 12, I transfer them to Drupal, which is a online. It's sort of like WordPress. It's
Right.
a CMS system basically. But I try to keep the design, so I actually had a programmer change them to the Drupal design, but kept my original designs intact, and that's what they're still running on.
Okay, that's interesting. And with with the blogs, do you now have to dedicate a certain amount of time to each one? Does, like, obviously the James Bond lifestyle, imagine that's kind of the baby and takes up most of
Yeah,
your
that's
time.
correct. Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
how do you separate your time and allocate them between the three now?
Yeah, it's all a little bit of a feeling, just whenever I feel like it's it's all just because they're all my projects. It's just whenever I feel like or see something, and the more you go into one direction, like the watches or the sunglasses, you keep more because you start searching stuff and then you find more stuff. That happens a lot of times. You research one Tom Cruise sunglasses, but then you find like, oh yeah, no, he's actually wearing that watch, and oh, he's actually in this movie he wears that. Like you go off in all these directions. So in that sense, it kind of uh, goes a little bit just on a whim a little bit, or if something a trailer comes out, or um, most of the time goes to Bond because there's just so much stuff and it's such a community, and there's just it's so big. The sunglasses and the watches are more like a side project because I liked it. But like I said, those ones, it depends a little bit on my own interest.
Yeah. And did you at any point think about setting these up as forums? So, like, the AJB site is obviously a great forum where people can kind of interact, and I think it's RPF. There's a website, I forget the full name of that. I mean, I just had this literally today on Instagram. I posted an article written by Zed from Tie Another Day about the John Varvatos jacket seen in Spectre and Fallout, and then within the Instagram comments, other people were chiming in with really good stuff, saying, oh, this isn't actually the one, it's another color. Oh, and this wasn't in the Martian, it was a slightly different one from the same line. And I was like, oh, this is all now new, fresh information that I now need to put in the article as an update. Oh, fucking hell, this is taking forever. You know what I mean? So I was thinking, at that point, I was thinking, well, this is why people set up forums, I think, as message boards, so they can have a conversation, and I don't have to go in and just do it all manually and strip it from comment feeds and threads. So was there any point that you thought about doing that?
I used to have forums on all of my websites actually. I took them away first of all because the watches and sunglasses sort of got hacked or spammed. It was kind of crazy. It got kind of out of hand, and also I didn't find it too adding that much anyway. The people that were on it,
Right.
The Bond Lifestyle forum I took away also for similar reasons, but also because there were other forums that were just way better anyway. Right. So I wanted to get lean and mean in a way. So I do like the visitor feedback, but for the sunglasses and the watches, for example, I get a lot of direct messages via the contact form, which is similar to what you said. If people have more information, or if I don't know it, and I said, like, does anyone know? Funny enough, there's always somebody that writes a message at some point, knowing something. It could be either the brand itself or a marketing manager for the brand itself, or it could be, just another fan. So I do have the interaction, but it's not so visible. Bond Lifestyle has a lot of comments on it, on the articles, which sometimes have more information on it. So they do have a comment section under each product page, for example.
Right. Okay.
So that kind of works, but I don't have that on the sunglasses and watches. And also one reason is in that sense kind of control freakish, that I want to just keep the information clean. Whatever I put out, make it condensed, easy to find, and that's it. And if there's updates, I'll change it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a control thing as well, and it also sets itself apart compared to all these user-generated content websites, which there are so many of, which also can go off in all kinds of directions. And my main reason is also it's really hard to find good information unless you follow those forums really particularly, which is great. There's so much good information in all the forums, the Bond forums too, the AJB especially, but it's very hard to find anything, on those websites really, if you want to get an overview of stuff or quickly find something. Only if you're in the forums, where what has been said. But if you just come in clean, you're like, oh, everyone need to find this, what sunglasses wears Daniel Craig wears in Spectre. It's going to be hard to find in the forums because you just have to sift through all these messages basically.
Yeah. I've certainly found that every now and again you can find a nugget and you go, oh yeah, this has been tucked away. I've been searching fruitlessly on the internet for ages. I mean, I'll give you an example. It might sound like a really basic one, but the Rogue Nation crumpled John Varvatos jacket that he turns up to in I think it's King's Cross. I've been looking to, I'm pretty sure it must have been a John Varvatos jacket, but there's nothing online. And it was only accidentally going through a thread, going down a wormhole. Someone had identified it. He's got it. He's wearing it. He's like, where is this? This should be like number one on fucking Google, because I've just spent 2 hours looking for it. So, I mean, the same, I don't put like comments, or I used to put comments on my site, but the amount of spam that I get hit with, and no matter what I put up, whatever kind of plugin that I use, I mean, maybe someone can leave me a comment in the YouTube for this and recommend a plugin, but I just get absolutely hammered with crap. I mean,
no, totally. That's a big problem online anyway. There's just so much, automated spam going on. Even it's not even people. Like, that would be one thing if it's people, but it's just all the automated spam that's so hard to control. Even the comments on Bond Lifestyle take a lot of time to just like, nothing gets published immediately because there's just so much stuff I need to manually go through it, which is kind of a lot of work, because there might be hundreds of messages in a week. Mostly robot messages, and you have to find the real ones in there. So that is definitely a tricky part about all the user generated content. You need to have a good management system to keep track of all the stuff.
I tell you something also that happened yesterday, and perhaps listeners and viewers can be aware of this. I got an email from someone saying, hey, you're using my images on your site. You better take them down, otherwise I'll get a lawsuit involved. And you can see that these are my original images. Click on this Google Drive link here. And I was like, I said, I'm not going to click on this because this looks really dicey.
Exactly. Don't click on links.
But it was so accurate and so threatening.
Okay.
So I forwarded it to Matt Spacer, and he goes, oh yeah, this is a massive thing. This is doing the rounds on the internet. As soon as you click on that link, they'll then be able to take over your hard drive. And then use your data as like in some kind of hostage situation, basically. So you pay to get your computer back. And I was like, fuck, man, that was so good. I mean, it was literally such a good scam.
Yeah, exactly.
It nearly got me.
Spoke to you,
I don't know if you've ever had anything like that, but keep an eye out for it, people. If you get an email from someone called Mel, they're after your data.
That's right. I get some real messages about using images here and there, especially in the beginning. I'm definitely more thoughtful right now, but in the beginning of sunglasses and watches, I definitely got some messages about using images, but not nothing too big. But it can definitely happen. It can really happen that you actually get a message from somebody like, hey, you're using my image.
Right, which is it's all well and good. I try and do all the necessary credits if I'm doing screen credits.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
the
something
credits
like that.
would help a lot. Yeah,
it is important to kind of credit people and ask for permission. But fuck, this guy just wades in and goes on. Anyway. Yeah, so I just sent that onto Spacer.
Exactly. I imagine his whole computer gets slower. Yeah, exactly. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, but it was like, thanks for sending me that.
Like an old king, drink this first before I drink it. You're like,
thanks for sending me that bloody Trojan horse. I appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, remember, I was going to ask if anyone out there is thinking about setting up some maybe affiliate site based on stuff that you can see on TV, whether it's watches or sunglasses or like iconic alternatives. Is there room for it now? And what would be your advice to someone that is just starting off now?
Yeah, now it will be hard. Yeah, exactly. I think jackets is a great one. You already mentioned jackets a few times. I know there are some websites. I didn't look into it too much, but I know that would be. I would probably do that if I would start anything new. I would probably go into something like that. But to set yourself apart is, of course, where you start to what's going to make your site different from the rest. So first of all, I would definitely recommend writing original content and being diligent about the content you put on there. And I think that's what sets you apart, and from all the sort of, like I said, automated giant as seen on kind of websites, because there's a few of those that take over a lot of information. Even things like Pinterest take over a lot of. I think they mess up the whole Google image search, because there's so many Pinterest results that just I can't find anything on Pinterest really properly. Like it's so there's so much stuff on there that just blocks you from getting to the real information. So yeah. I think if you have a content-driven website with actual your own written content, I think that could be about anything. I think a niche, I'm not sure how to say it, website works always well. That's what I did with sunglasses or watches. I just try to focus on one product. Bond, of course, is different, but it's a little bit still niche because it's Bond. But like I think if you focus on something, you can probably do it better than if you try to do everything.
Right.
Handbags or something could be good. It could be all kinds of products. polo shirt. You could even go as small as that. I even thought once just to make a polo shirt website, just because
Nice.
there's polo shirt everywhere, and like that's a great thing to buy too. It's one of the more popular products. So
Yeah,
you
that's
can
great.
go into all those kind of things. There's lots of ideas, but I think creating good proper content still works. And not trusting just on Instagram stuff, I think would also be necessary, because there's just that's where the competition now, I think, is just brutal. Because I mean, everybody can be on Instagram with 2 seconds of sign up, time on Instagram. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't take that much time, and repost stuff. But to create real content is where the value lies, I think. And but it takes time, and it takes it doesn't go instantly, and it takes perseverance as well to keep it up for many years, to grow in Google and to become sort of like a resource.
Yeah.
And if you can find, of course, community around it, like I said, like sunglasses and watches are not particularly communities, which is also tricky, because jackets or like yeah, like a movie franchise, if of course has a maybe more community around it, but and watches does have a community, but my particular focus is not, it's too,
Watches
somehow
and
people
films
don't
is
get.
yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very, that could be one forum thread on the whole,
Mm.
big watch forums, it's just one thread, just watches in movies, and I make that a whole website. So you're not going to get a community, I think, around that per se, but yeah, just focus on content. It's important, but it's a lot of work, and you're right, it is tricky to find something new now, and unique, that would be hard.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to take my hat off. I've come into the game. I've realized now I've come into the game so late on starting a website. I mean, I don't even bother trying to generate any kind of revenue from the website, because I don't think people are coming to me for kind of, oh, how can I get a version of that, or where can I get the end peel sweater from Bond? No one's coming to me, and that no one's clicking through. For example, I'm quite happy to post stuff around the content of it, my review of it, etc. But I don't set out with the agenda of trying to
Well, but you,
leverage
you
any
could,
money.
like, I guess you could, like, if you become a personality, which you are more getting like a sort of your own personality, that could of course also create value in sort of, you can endorse stuff, and just because you say it, that's what is the reason that people would be like, okay, that's more worth buying that one than the other one,
Yeah.
So I think creating an online personality, like with YouTube or something, would be definitely another way to do that. But again, there's a lot of competition, and you need also like a decent amount of, on YouTube especially, I think even in a lot of things, you need a certain amount of even followers to be able to do any kind of promotion, So
Yeah.
or revenue taking or something, So that's definitely the hard part as well now. So, but I think it could work. With like you could maybe not bank in on the fact that an NPL is in the movie, but if you say something about a certain product for a certain reason, people might still buy it, because it's you.
Well, my postman certainly knows about NPL. It's the only jumper I've worn for about 3 months, and I see him every day. Even he
It's
said,
like
well, he goes, look, I have to wear the same thing every day, but you don't. I was like, well, it's in the Bond film. What do you want from me?
Yeah, it's like I have to. It's not my choice. I'm not wearing anything I want to wear.
It's freezing out. It's the only thing I'm going to bloody wear for 6 months. So yeah, that's quite funny. I mean, I mean, you're right about getting something original, and like I say, the gold nuggets. I think that's why. I mean, we were speaking offline how I'm trying to get more costume designers on the show to, just to talk about the origins of the clothes and the ideas and the designs. I mean, like you say, trying to find that niche within a niche is just getting harder and harder. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, also to get the minimum required sort of amount of people you need to make it worthwhile, because if you get a conversion rate of like I don't know, like 0.5%, I don't know what the percentages are, but something, some kind of percentage, it's not going to really work if you have 100 people, but if you have like 10,000 people, then that starts to make a little bit of sense, and even then, like it's very tricky, because I find it also hard to see, of course, products that are available. A lot of times, even sunglasses or the watches, especially the watches, for a long time were not available online. Any of the expensive watches, at least,
yeah.
you can buy the Casios and the Timex watches, and yeah, no, that's great stuff, and in a lot of movies. But any of the Rolexes, Tag Heuers, Omegas are just, you can buy them online, and still it's still possible, but it's not even that easy, especially new ones. The secondhand market starts to grow online a little bit, but new Rolexes are not easy to find online per se.
So how do you generate anything transactional from products that are no longer in stock? I notice sometimes when I click through on it might have even been on this watch that
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing, the Casio
Mm-hmm.
Illuminator.
Mm-hmm.
You go, well, this
Yeah.
is the original one from the movie, but then you can also find some neat alternatives. And then the keyword is already there on eBay. I'll
Mm-hmm.
click through your eBay button, and the search finder's already up on the eBay. So
Yeah.
how do you do that? Because that to me is a magic trick.
No, so that's just pure manual crazy work, which kind of sucks because, for example, eBay now is switching all their links before March 31st. So that's going to be a nightmare. I might have to write somebody has to write some code too, because there's thousands of links to eBay on all my websites, basically, I'm sure. And they're going to be all changed. But so what I do is that's again with the sort of content creation, like I do all this stuff manually. So I don't have any automated systems. I used to, well, actually, no, I didn't even. I had I had a system where it would show eBay results, but I would still put manual information about what keywords to search for. So that kind of stuff is all basically, me thinking about it and not setting up a system that automates it all, which of course would be much easier. Find the information in the article or something, or just have these. eBay offers these kind of things too, where they automatically search your site for relevant things, which might even work better. But somehow I feel I don't want to send people to random stuff either. My value is in the information. So if people come to my website, I don't want to just send them and sell them stuff that has nothing to do with, just because it converts well according to eBay. And my cat agrees.
Yeah.
But so anyway, like I think like all those links are manually thought of by me. Like, okay, if you can't find this watch anymore, then this would be what I would buy, and
right.
If I want to buy it, then probably other people want it. This is because I like the watches, so I can hopefully see what other people would like as well, So it's more, it's all created by myself basically, and not automated.
But you're saying there's going to be a new algorithm that's going to get introduced that's going to take the rug from under your feet on that one.
I'm sure they already exist. Like most of those websites, of course, are all automated, and they have a lot of banners on all the sites that are filled in automatically, with all the cookies and the tracking pixels and stuff, that fill up automatically with stuff that would convert. Because if you like James Bond, you probably also like, I don't know, the new Ford F-150, car or something, and they show that, all that stuff happens, which makes sense, But I try to keep the information in that sense clean and focused to the subject of my website,
Remmert, lastly, I wanted to ask you how brands kind of interact with you and your site. So in my mind's eye, the likes of Tissot will see the latest blog posts that you did about Live and Let Die and Roger Moore and go, get this guy to the next press event and fill him with Bollinger, because this is the sort of guy we need to look after.
I hope so.
So, I know for a fact that some of the watch events are some of the best in the world. I mean, I went to Baselworld on behalf of Boris, and that was a press event like no press event. So,
yeah.
What's your inbox like regarding these brands? I mean, is it kind of a daily thing? Is it nice events coming in?
It used to, actually, funny enough. The best events I had in the early days of Watch ID. It's definitely true. I had Longines, I had a good connection, and they had the best events. I went to Paris a few times for the Roland Garros tennis tournament.
Oh, I went to that one, but I went with Bollinger, I think.
Oh, okay, that's so.
No, Moe Chandon.
Yeah. Those are the best events. That's so funny.
Oh, I'll send you some photos offline. That was
yeah, we have to check. Yeah, we have to check if it's the same year. Yeah, exactly. And then there was this Rodin house and stuff. I remember there was all these dinners and crazy stuff. But so the watches are definitely a great place to be. But somehow, because my focus is much more on Bond, and of course I'm, as you can see in the Bond lifestyle, I've been to a lot of Bond events. So somehow that for me is where my focus lies. That's where my connections are. So the watches and the sunglasses are not as, I don't get daily invites anymore, unfortunately. If I would focus on one of them, I probably would get back into that, but it's just not my 100% daily focus. These websites, so I can't. Yeah, I would probably have to chase it a little bit more proactively, I guess.
I mean, going back to that press event, I remember getting chucked out of the tent of the PR tent because I set up. There's a table tennis game going on in our separate Moe Chandon tent, and I set up all the chandelier glasses, and I played champagne pong.
Oh yeah.
Because I was sitting there, I was a bit bored. I was trying to get everyone going,
that's a good idea. Yeah.
And I was like, I know the games, and it was going down a storm, but obviously people were just chugging back these huge champagne flutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think the PR girl comes up and goes, "You got to leave."
yeah. Really? Oh shit!
Can't believe I got kicked out of that tent. It was
Last invitation from away. Yeah.
That was the last. But I tell you, I got the invite. I think I was at a John Smedley event the night before, and this is exactly what happened. Let me tell you, I was at a John Smedley event, and they said to me, "Pete, what are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Absolutely nothing." They said, "Well, look, there's a seat that's just opened up for the Moët Chandon down in Roland Garros. We'll put you up in Paris for a couple of nights." I said, "I'm in." He goes, "But you got to be on the Eurostar at 7 a.m. And it's 11 p.m. at night, right?" So
wow, that's crazy.
I'm in London. I live in Cambridge. I get the night train back to Cambridge to get my passport, get the morning train back to King's Cross, and get the Eurostar. I mean, it all happens within like 8 hours, and I fucking rock up and I'm ready to go. So you can imagine by the time I say goodnight to my mum at about 11:30 at night and say hello to her at 7:30 in Paris, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. This is like pre-COVID rock and roll blog lifestyle, man.
Oh man, I fucking miss it. Oh Jesus, yeah. Well, listen, Remmert, thanks so much for jumping on, taking us down memory lane with those. I don't know how informational that was to our listeners, but watch-id.com. If you haven't heard of it, go there and literally just check out all the great information and site. I mean, I think I've got 2 watches from there and 2 sunglasses, and it's just a huge reservoir of great information. And sunglassesid.com, and make sure you're following all the social channels there as well. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks so much, Pete. It was a pleasure.
Great catching up. Okay, take care.